Hello Libra, and welcome to my channel. My name is Nikita Antoine, and today we'll be doing a reading for you. As always, of course, all of my readings are timeless, so whenever the message finds you and resonates, and it's yours at the time in which you find it. Today, Libra, I'm doing your reading with the Ethereal Visions and Dreamscape Oracle by Hughes. So we'll be seeing both of those decks in your spread today. All right, so I've been trying to pull cards for you. I did it a couple times, and it was like something just wasn't right. Something, I don't know, it was like the cards were fine. I was getting the message, like everything was great, but then it was like something, like as I was going to the second row, I was like, something's not quite right about this, and I scrapped it, and then I would start again, and then I would scrap that one and start again. And so I was realizing that is actually like, that's perhaps the energy that you're feeling. It was coming across as like a sculptor that was sculpting out some type of shape. We were talking about shapes yesterday in the Scorpio reading. Filling in the gaps is actually what we were talking about. It's interesting because after I did that reading, I got a call from the doctor to get my glasses, and I remembered that in that reading, the High Priestess was kind of like waiting for a tool to fill in the gaps. And I'm thinking that, I don't know what this has to do with your reading, but I'm feeling that that tool might be something that would expand your vision. And if we're speaking of some type of project or some like creative endeavor that you are working on, there's something with your, like, you're wanting to expand your vision, and it's like each time you go to make a new creation, you're sensing the gap that's there, and that's why there's a continual like scrapping, like, nah, that shape's not right. Okay, so at the bottom of the deck we have the Gift, and then on the split, let me just put these guys out. We have the Gift and the Three of Wands. The Gift made a very prominent, presentation is what's coming out. It made a very prominent presentation in yesterday's reading, in the Scorpio reading, and it was talking about kind of that moment where, because we see it's like Pandora's box, right? So we're seeing her take off the lid and questioning whether or not that was a good idea. And it was also talking about the container or the shape that still needed to, like, the gaps needed to be filled in. So there's something, it's like, it's coming across as like a piece of art, a piece of work, like an art piece, like, your work, trying to decide whether or not that is, the right shape. Is the container exactly the way you want it? There's like gaps that need to be filled in, and it's like the more that you look at it, the more it becomes less of what you want. And so then you're shifting into this Three of Wands energy, which is talking about kind of like, looking out across the horizon and waiting for some new inspiration to hit you. And what's interesting here is that with Pandora's box, it's like everything is contained within this container. So you're looking out but what you're needing is, it's coming across as like what you're needing is kind of like right in front of you. It's those gaps that need to be, that are wanting to be filled in. Okay, so there we have. So let's get an overall energy for your reading. Already 5 minutes in. I don't know why I'm so concerned with time. All right. So let's get an overall. That was very fast. And once again, another card that was presented in yesterday's reading. There is absolutely a tie. I saw it starting out with the koi fish, but there's loads of tie-ins with all the previous readings that have been done with this deck. So on your overall energy, we have the scales. And the scales, we're talking about a tool. The glasses, the vision. It's a tool that you have on you, because what was really showing up was this, it was actually coming across as like a chastity belt, but a chastity belt over the high heart chakra. So it's a tool that you have within you to receive the inspiration that would fill in the gaps that you're looking for to complete your vision. It has something to do with the high heart chakra. And in the previous readings, it was talking about kind of like the love of God is what was coming through with that, being your inspiration. All right. So, starting off your reading with the Strength card, yet another card that featured, it was actually in the same position as well in the Ophiuchus reading. If you haven't watched those readings, I highly suggest you go watch those readings, because there is an extreme amount of overlap that's happening here. So we have you presenting here as the Strength card. And this today is coming across as being very, very gentle, having an extremely gentle touch. It's bringing up a vision for me about like being at a pottery wheel. And you know that if you've ever seen videos of people making pottery, it almost, like, the smallest touch can make the shape of the container contort in ways that you either want or don't want. So it requires an adept knowing of how to, with the Magician card that follows after the Strength, it's like an adept knowing of how to manipulate the clay, like understanding how your fingers and your motions in your hands, in conjunction with working with the tool that you have at your disposal, for instance, like the pottery wheel or the clay, all of that. It's like having the knowledge of knowing how to utilize those tools in order to create the shape that you're wanting. And here what's being presented is that the touch that you have is very gentle and delicate. And it's that touch that is allowing you to create the shape that you're wanting to. And there's also kind of like it's like a two-sided thing too, because and that's what this is talking about here, with every gift, there is kind of something that comes along with it. I don't want to say curse, but it's like we just call it gift and curse, but really what it is it's like training. So for instance, with strength, you know, you do have to not control. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Have some type of like self-control over the strength of which how you manipulate it, because if there is too much pressure on the clay, it, like I said, it molds into a shape that you don't want. You know, and if you don't apply enough strength, it never actually takes shape. So it's kind of like that thing, like it has to be just right. It has to be just right. And what you're noticing is that in your project, it's not just right. There's something about it that, you know, you're creating, it's like you're moving through the entire process of this creation, yet once you get to the end of it, you step back, you look back at it, and you're realizing that something is just off about it. Like you're not, and it's like you're not even seeing what that is. You just intrinsically know with the owl energy that's being presented next. There's an intrinsic knowing that it's not, there's something that is not quite right about it. And I'm seeing it as like either like pottery or a sculpture or something along those lines. And like with the pottery wheel, there's like it's like a 360 view of the creation and the analysis that's like almost like being brought down on your creation. It kind of makes me want to suspect that 1, 2, 3, 4, that you might be a little too critical of your creations, and that they're not perfect enough. That's interesting because I didn't quite see that before. But there's this silence in you when you're viewing your creations. And I think that that's that silent knowing of something is not quite right. Perhaps what that not quite right is the pursuit of perfection in your creations. So I'm seeing you with the Selkie energy. The Selkie energy was talking about, in the previous readings, it's been talking about shape shifting and changing the shape of, well, in your instance, the creation, changing the shape of your creation. And at the end of this row, we have the Ten of Wands, not the Ten of Wands, the Ten of Swords. You see, she's looking towards the Ten of Swords. It's almost like looking to find the imperfections. That's very interesting. Because you're going through the entire process, and then once you step back to look at your creation, it's like the focus here is on all of the imperfections and not necessarily the creation itself. Because she's holding, so this here is her, it's like her skin, because she's a shapeshifter. So it's like you're holding on to the ability to be able to like create a new shape, and then looking at the shape that you have created and wanting to discard it. It's like, hang on one second, the little baby. He just wants to play. It's like, if you haven't met Jinx yet, here he is. All right, so it's like, I'm seeing this is being presented as somebody who's writing, and everything that they're writing is like they're crumpling up the paper and throwing them away. And it's this continual like crumpling up or getting rid of the creation, starting from scratch, like totally, you know, wiping the board clean of whatever you've been in the process of creating. But what I'm noticing here, so as you are focused on, this is just not right. Again, once again, this is not right. There's something about the shape that is not representing my vision as well as it could be. It hasn't yet reached that level of perfection that I'm trying to achieve, essentially, is what the thought process that is going on in your mind. And here again with the Ten of Swords talks about ending. There's something about that thought process of wanting the creation to be perfection. There's something in that needs to go away, because each creation is unique in of itself. It holds the energy that you had when you were making it. So even if you were to make the same thing over and over and over again, absolutely it's going to look different each and every time, because each item that you create is totally unique, absolutely unique. And you know, it's like you're not a manufacturer, you're an artist, is what's coming through. So what I'm noticing here is, while she's looking at this Ten of Swords, for the first time today, I swear to God, I've used these cards so many times, and it's like each time I look, there's something different. And you know, the art there is a simplicity to it, but every single time I go to look at it, there's something different. And so I was focused on, you know, the guy with all these swords in his back. But then what I see here is that there's this background here to this, you see? And it's like there's more to come. There's more to come. And that can be talking about that there's more creations to come. That just because the one that you have created up to this moment is not exactly what you were looking for, there is more to come. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to completely trash it, you know? It's a part of the growth process, because once you get to the 10, you move to the Ace, right? All right, so we're starting the second row off here with the Architect. And this, once again, was presented in the other readings as well. And in yours, it's talking about, I have a very similar idea as what it was speaking of before, but it's talking about being the architect of connection. Because in this top row, there's kind of like a flanking on, you know, how we have the exterior cards, interior cards, and then the center. And what's presented at the end of this row, the flanking, is the Harpy Eagle. And the Harpy Eagle talks about being able to move between dimensions. And the dimensions that the Harpy Eagle moves through is air, or at least the elements, are air and water. So it's talking about the connection between air and water. There's some type of connectedness. Oh, that's on my actual phone. I was trying to wipe the card, but it's on my actual phone. There. So the architect of connection is surrounding you. This feels like an external, almost like a guide energy or some type of external force that is beyond, I was going to say beyond your comprehension, but it's beyond you. There's something that is aiding in the, I want to say it's aiding in your ability to present, what am I trying to say? Present your, hang on one second. Let me gather my words. So it's helping you to connect back to, earlier we were talking about like connecting to it's that tool energy, connecting to the tool. What's really fascinating is that the architect almost kind of looks like a person that is at a pottery wheel. You see with the hands, it's like sculpting. There is a being here that is helping you to connect with the materials and the tools that you're using to almost like receive some type of guidance on the actual movements that you're making with your hands. It's like channeling, actually. Almost like what the thing that you feel that is missing is the presence of spirit leading your movements in your creation, because we can all create our own, the architect talks about creating their own worlds, creating their own shapes, but there, with the addition of spirit, that addition of co-creation, there is an element that wouldn't have been added before. Because we have all the earthly elements here at our disposal. These are all of our, the tools that we use to manipulate the world around us. And of course, you probably know what those are: fire, water, earth, air. And this here is adding an element of spirit or ether. So that's perhaps what you're seeing that is missing. There's something missing, and there's this being that is trying to bring that connection back in for you. They're helping to bring that connection back in for you. It's almost like they're coming in, because the Harpy Eagle talks about the harpy is coming from the air into the water, so into your psyche, and manipulating your hands to create your art. Essentially, it's helping you to create your art. And So in the center, hang on, let me slow down for a second. I'm getting excited. All right, so in the center of your reading, trying to see how to properly tie this in. So we have the harpy eagle that is coming from the air and then into the water. And then in the center of this second row, we have presented the Three of Cups. And today, this card is very significant for me because ever since the beginning of my own journey, I've been working with a collective that I just call them the Three. We have many, mythology has a lot of names for the Three, if you will. Triple goddess, like all of those depictions of three feminine figures, but I see them as the Three. And so what that is talking about is, you see, because in order to do my readings, I allow this element of the Three to aid me in shaping how I am voicing. Hey, no, not the plant. I can see you in the camera. So it's aiding my my vision. It's aiding my vision, the things that I see, in order to properly communicate the message that I need to, that we actually, because this is a co-creation, that we need to deliver to you. So it's the same thing. It's talking about, at the center, in the center, which was presented in Scorpio's reading. Scorpio was talking about how they were in the center. It's almost like the flip. So this is in the center, and you're being drawn to it. They're showing up today as like sirens that are singing you and bringing you into their space, or really actually drawing you into their space. There's a movie that is coming up in my mind, Brother, Where Art Thou? Have you seen it? That's kind of like the modern day presentation of, is it Odysseus? Yeah, I think so. It's Odysseus. But there's a scene where the three guys, okay, this is really interesting. Just because there's three guys that come across these three sirens. And that's what I'm seeing. Okay, so you're the energy that is surrounding the three. So there's something that's surrounding you, the architect of connection, and then you are surrounding the three, which is, I want to say, what that spirit, that is the element of spirit that we're talking about, the ability to channel through your hands is drawing you in. So in that movie, it's almost like they get love drunk, and one of the guys wakes up. It's so crazy because what's being presented here is that there's only really two characters. Well, I feel like it's all representative of you, but just for example's sake, there were the three guys who, once they woke up from their, I don't know, love sickness or like love drunk, being sung kind of like to sleep by the sirens, one of the characters, it's like just his clothes are on the ground, just like this. Just his clothes are on the ground in the same shape as his body, and they find underneath that it's a toad. And then they start carrying around this toad, but what it's talking about is that it's changed the shape. So this influence here is going to help you to change the shape into I want to say into what you're desiring, because what you're desiring is to have a shape that is a perfect representation of your vision. Now, with that being said, because it is a co-creation, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be exactly how you see it, because there is an external influence, the influence of spirit that is guiding your hands. And with the cards that are surrounding it, it's like you are going to, with the elephant energy and the sun bear, you're going to recognize this connection. And I want to say that it's very immediate, because this elephant is coming in extremely strong, and then the sun bear is totally illuminated. His vision is illuminated, and it's rushing in. The memory of this connection that you have with spirit is rushing in. It's like an answer and a call type of thing. So you're calling for that missing piece, the gaps that need to be filled, and here's the answer coming rushing in with you. In with you. That kind of implies that it's been with you the whole, okay, there we go. It's been with you the whole time. It has something to do with that high heart chakra energy that we keep bringing up, because look here, the sun bear, his heart is illuminated. So there's a memory that's going to come in for you about this connection. It's very enticing, actually. And I think that this is the inspiration that you've been searching for, wanting to infuse into your creations. It's the filling of the gaps, that element of adding the three. All right, I think that's it. I love that feeling when everything goes still. All right, the three. There's something about the number 3. I don't know. All right, thank you, Libra, for watching. And as always, I will see you next time. I hope that you enjoy your new creations. Have a good one.